If you wake to a stabbing knot in your calf that makes you sit bolt upright and grab for the sheets, if a simple stretch when you get out of bed turns into a charley horse that locks your foot into a painful point, if your thighs feel like piano wires by evening and stairs demand negotiations your legs don't always honor, I want you to know two things. First, you're far from alone. Second, there is a calm, practical way out of this that doesn't involve chasing fads, swallowing mystery pills, or resigning yourself to nights spent pacing the hallway. I'm a physician, and on Healthy Body Today, I'm going to talk to you exactly as I talk with my own patients. Clearly, respectfully, and with a plan you can use tonight. Leg cramps and stiffness after 60 are common, but they are not random. They're the visible end of a tangled rope made of hydration, circulation, nerve signaling, muscle conditioning, sleep quality, medications, and yes, the foods you choose, the way you time them, and the small rituals you repeat. We're going to center on 3 everyday foods, eggs, bananas, and a measured handful of nuts and seeds, not as magic bullets, but as tools in a doctor's toolkit that change your chemistry in quiet, powerful ways. Then we're going to stitch those foods into routines that soothe overexcited nerves, steady mineral balance, and help blood glide through the muscles that carry you. My goal is not to sell you a miracle, it's to hand you a map. Let's start with what a cramp actually is, because that understanding frees you from the idea that relief is luck. A cramp is an electrical misfire that becomes a mechanical vice. The nerve that controls the muscle fires too often or for too long. Calcium pours into the muscle cell. The fibers shorten all at once and refuse to let go. If the cell is slightly dehydrated, it's more irritable. If potassium is low, the electrical reset between one signal and the next is unstable. If magnesium is low, the let-go step is weak. If blood flow is sluggish, waste products like lactate hang around and poke at the nerve endings. If a nerve is irritated in your back or hip, the downstream muscle is jumpier. If you took a diuretic late in the day, you may have drifted toward a mineral deficit just as you slid under the covers. If you drank alcohol and turned off deep sleep, you robbed your body of the quiet window when most repair happens. If your shoes are worn or your foot arches collapse during the day, the calf muscle is under tension before you ever meet your pillow. In short, cramps are biochemical and biomechanical. That's why the "just drink this" promise worked once for your neighbor, but didn't change your month. Single tricks often fix single nights. We want to fix your baseline. Eggs anchor that process in a way few foods can, especially after 60. With age, we all lose muscle mass unless we fight for it. That slow loss, sarcopenia, makes legs weaker, balance less reliable, and muscles easier to fatigue. Fatigued muscle cramps quicker. Recovered muscle resists. A large egg brings you 6 grams of complete protein in a compact, affordable package. It's not just protein, it's the right mix of amino acids that your body recognizes and uses to rebuild tissue after the work of the day. If you've ever tried to go light on protein to be good and found yourself hungrier, shakier, and crampier, you've met the body's logic. Starved muscle is irritable muscle. An egg also brings vitamin B12 and choline, and this matters more than people realize. B12 keeps the insulation on your nerves, the myelin sheath, intact. When that insulation thins, signals leak and sputter. Tingling arrives. Muscles fire when you didn't ask them to. Older adults often absorb B12 less well because stomach acid is lower, and certain medicines, acid reducers, metformin, get in the way. Eggs are a gentle, digestible way to deliver B12 you can actually use. Choline, found in the yolk, is a building block for acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter your nerves use to tell a muscle to contract and, importantly, to modulate that command. When choline is chronically scarce, nerve muscle chatter gets staticky. When it's adequate, the conversation is crisp and calm. Egg yolks also carry a little vitamin D, and while no one should pretend a single egg is a high-dose supplement, I want you to think like a builder. You do not strengthen a house with one beam. You strengthen it by making sure every corner has lumber. Between modest dietary vitamin D, sunlight when you can get it, and, if needed, your clinician's guidance on supplements, you're supporting a vitamin that helps your muscles and nerves handle calcium correctly. Calcium is the squeeze signal inside a muscle fiber. Magnesium is the release. Vitamin D helps both steps work on time. Together with the protein that keeps your fibers repaired, the B12 that keeps your wiring clean, and the choline that keeps the conversation smooth, the humble egg quietly closes 3 doors through which cramps love to enter. I recommend most older adults aim for 6 to 7 eggs a week, spaced across days, folded into real meals with vegetables and healthy fats, unless there's a personal reason not to. For those worried about cholesterol, we now counsel nuance, not fear. Replacing bacon or processed meats with eggs is a win. For people with specific heart or kidney issues, we tailor, not ban. Your doctor knows your lab history and medications and can fit eggs into a pattern that respects your whole story. It helps to see what this looks like on a plate, because change doesn't happen in the air. In the morning, scramble 2 eggs with a handful of chopped spinach, a spoon of diced tomatoes, and a few mushrooms in a bit of olive oil. That single pan gives you protein to steady you, magnesium and potassium from the greens, and the healthy fat that helps your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins in the yolk. If you prefer a lighter start or take a morning walk, boil 2 eggs ahead of time and eat one with a bowl of plain Greek yogurt topped with a few raspberries and chopped walnuts when you return. If breakfast isn't your style, make eggs your midday anchor. A 2-egg omelet folded around softened onions and peppers, or a salad with romaine, cucumbers, pumpkin seeds, and sliced hard-boiled egg dressed with olive oil and lemon. I'm not interested in winning a cooking award. I'm interested in changing your biochemistry with meals you can actually make. Each of these plates calms the nervous system's triggers. Adequate protein to reduce muscle fatigue, minerals for electrical balance, healthy fat for absorption and anti-inflammatory support. Bananas step in where eggs do not. Muscles are batteries. They run on gradients. Potassium is the chief mineral your cells keep inside to maintain that electrical difference between inside and out. When potassium is low, nerves fire too easily, and muscles don't reset smoothly after each contraction. A medium banana carries a meaningful dose of potassium and a bit of magnesium. It also carries vitamin B6, which your body uses to make neurotransmitters that set muscle tone and influence how you perceive pain. People love to reduce this to a slogan, "Bananas stop cramps," but respect for the whole picture makes bananas work better. You get the most from a banana when you eat it, where it helps your day's chemistry. An hour after you've been active and sweated, an hour before bed if your cramps strike at night, or alongside a protein source to stabilize blood sugar if you live with diabetes. A banana alone can spike glucose. Half a banana with a spoon of peanut butter, a small banana sliced into plain yogurt with a sprinkle of chia seeds, or a third of a banana blended into a spinach almond milk smoothie turns that spike into a gentle wave. If you take diuretics that pull off water and minerals, timing a banana in the mid-afternoon can steady the wobble those pills sometimes introduce. If your kidneys are not healthy, or you take medicines that raise potassium, you must individualize this with your clinician. Potassium can be too low, and it can be too high. The target we're after is stability. I often layer bananas into a bedtime ritual I've used for years because cramps love a busy, anxious end to the day. 90 minutes before bed, sip a glass of water unless you've been told to restrict fluids. 60 minutes before bed, stand at the wall and gently stretch your calves and hamstrings. 30 seconds each side, relaxed breathing, no bouncing, 2 rounds. You are teaching muscle spindles, the tiny sensors that monitor length, to settle down. 30 to 60 minutes before bed, if your blood sugar plan allows, eat half a banana with a small handful of unsalted almonds or a spoon of plain yogurt. The potassium and magnesium arrive with companions that slow digestion and help absorption. The routine itself matters. Ritual tells your nervous system what to expect. Your brain believes what you repeat. Now let's bring in the quiet heavy lifters, nuts and seeds. If I could fix one hidden deficit in older adults without a single pill, it would be chronic low-grade magnesium insufficiency. You lose magnesium with diuretics, through sweat, and in your stool if you have digestive conditions. You miss magnesium if your plate leans on ultra-processed food and you rarely choose leafy greens, legumes, nuts, or seeds. Without enough magnesium inside the muscle cell, the release half of the contraction cycle is weak. That's precisely how a spasm becomes a cramp that lingers. A measured ounce of nuts, about a small handful of almonds, cashews, or pistachios, or 2 tablespoons of seeds, pumpkin, chia, flax, brought into your day can gently replenish magnesium, while you also pick up potassium, protein for repair, and healthy fats that calm inflamed tissues and improve blood flow. Pumpkin seeds are particularly rich in magnesium. Pistachios bring a surprising amount of potassium. Walnuts deliver plant omega-3s that your body uses in anti-inflammatory pathways. Almonds and cashews bring monounsaturated fats that soothe the lining of your blood vessels and improve circulation. Another line of defense because oxygen delivery is a cramp's enemy. I want you to measure, not guess. Nuts and seeds are calorie-dense treasures. A small handful means about 20 almonds, not a cereal bowl. Buy unsalted or lightly salted varieties so you're not washing your minerals out as fast as you put them in. If you have trouble chewing, choose natural nut butters and spread a thin layer on apple slices or whole grain toast. If you have reflux, keep portions small and earlier in the day. If you take a blood thinner, remember that consistent intake matters. Large, sudden swings in vitamin K are about leafy greens more than nuts and seeds, but the principle is the same. Keep patterns steady and stay in communication with your clinician. If you have a nut allergy, you can do an enormous amount of good with seeds alone. Pumpkin, chia, flax, and sunflower will treat you well. At this point, some of you are saying, "Doctor, I've tried magnesium pills and they upset my stomach," or "I eat bananas and still cramp," or "eggs won't undo my tight calves." You're right about a deeper truth. Pills help only when they correct a real deficiency, and single foods help only when the other levers aren't pulling in the opposite direction. That's why we wrap these foods in routines. It's why we examine medicines. It's why we adjust timing. The person who adds a banana at 10 p.m. after 3 glasses of wine, 2 cups of coffee after noon, and a diuretic at dinner should not be surprised that a fruit cannot bully chemistry into cooperating. The person who eats eggs but never stretches and spends 6 hours a day in a recliner may repair fibers but never tells their muscle spindles how to behave quietly in the night. The person who adds almonds to a day built on packaged snacks is pouring good money into a leaky bucket. On Healthy Body, we fix the bucket. That fixing starts with water. Older adults often lose the sharpness of thirst. By the time you notice, you're behind. Dehydration is not always dramatic. It is often a few percentage points that dial up nerve irritability, just enough to turn a harmless stretch into a sudden cramp. Unless your doctor has told you to limit fluids, aim for steady sipping through the day rather than a late rush. Front-load water earlier so nights are calmer. If you sweat from yard work or a walk on a warm day, add a pinch of salt to a glass of water or drink a mineral water. You're replacing what you lost, so the electrical system inside the muscle cell stays stable. If you're on diuretics, ask whether timing can be moved earlier so the mineral dip they create doesn't overlap your sleep. If you love your evening coffee or tea, push it earlier. Caffeine late in the day sends jitter through the nervous system and steals deep sleep, and both moves encourage cramps. Now let's talk about sleep because your muscles do most of their healing when you're not awake to witness it. Deep, slow-wave sleep is where the body repairs, rebalances electrolytes, and clears metabolic waste. Alcohol fragments that sleep even if you feel relaxed. Heavy, late meals make reflux more likely and tilt your night toward restless shifts that wake your calves right as they're trying to turn off. Bright screens blast your brain with daytime cues and delay the hormones that usher you into sleep. If you snore loudly, stop breathing, wake with a dry mouth, or feel unrefreshed despite enough hours, ask your clinician about sleep apnea testing. Untreated apnea drops your oxygen repeatedly at night, and oxygen-hungry muscles complain. Fixing apnea often helps cramps because the entire night becomes friendlier to your tissues. The next lever is movement, not as punishment, but as medicine. A 10-minute walk after meals is not a fitness fad. It's a biochemical hack that flattens post-meal blood sugar spikes, pushes fresh blood into your legs, and washes away the chemical irritants that collect when you've been still. Gentle calf raises at the kitchen counter, up on your toes, down slowly, 10 to 15 repetitions. Teach your muscles to use their full range and to circulate blood through the venous system in your lower legs. A 2-minute ankle alphabet with your big toe before bed, A, B, C, traced in the air, moves your foot and calf through patterns that lengthen without strain. None of these require equipment. All of them whisper to your nervous system, "This body moves fluidly." When you treat your legs this kindly all day, they're less likely to rebel at night. Medications deserve a careful, non-judgmental look, because many of you are doing exactly what you were told and accidentally creating a cramp-friendly terrain. Loop diuretics for blood pressure can pull off potassium and magnesium. Thiazide diuretics can nudge calcium loss. Certain asthma medicines, some antidepressants, and some cholesterol-lowering medicines can contribute to cramps in susceptible people. This does not mean you abandon medicines that protect your heart and brain. It means you talk to your prescribing clinician about timing, dose, and alternatives. Sometimes shifting a pill earlier, splitting a dose, or adding a mineral under supervision is enough to change your nights. Quinine is not a routine solution. Its side effects can be serious. Tonic water contains too little quinine to be therapeutic. Relying on it as a nightly habit brings sugar you don't need and disappointment you don't deserve. I want your plan to be both safe and effective. Let's bring all of this down to a single, ordinary day that turns cramps down from the moment you wake until the moment you fall asleep. You open your eyes, stretch gently, flex your ankles a few times before you stand, and drink a glass of water. Breakfast is simple. 2 eggs scrambled with spinach and tomatoes, a side of berries, and a slice of whole grain toast if you tolerate it. If you prefer dairy in the morning, a bowl of plain Greek yogurt topped with half a sliced banana and chopped walnuts does the same job in a different outfit. You take any morning medicines as prescribed, you put a water bottle where you'll see it, and you go for 10 minutes of easy walking after the meal. Lunch is a large salad with dark greens, cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, a handful of chickpeas or a piece of grilled chicken, a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds, and olive oil with lemon juice. You stop caffeine in the early afternoon. If you want a snack, you make it chemistry, not entertainment. An apple with 10 almonds or a few slices of cucumber with hummus. Dinner is earlier than in your 30s and lighter than your 20-year-old appetite insisted on. Baked salmon with roasted vegetables, or an egg and vegetable frittata if you saved your eggs for evening, or a bean and vegetable stew with olive oil and herbs. After dinner, you walk 10 minutes. If you sweat, you add a glass of water with a pinch of salt. 90 minutes before bed, you drink water if you need it. 60 minutes before bed, you do gentle calf and hamstring stretches. 30 to 60 minutes before bed, if your blood sugar plan allows, you eat half a banana with a spoon of plain yogurt or a few almonds. Lights down, screens off, a cool, dark room, and the same wake time tomorrow. If you can't do this all at once, do the easiest piece first and add the next piece next week. Momentum beats perfection. I want to talk you through 3 stories that mirror thousands I've heard, because stories are better than charts at reminding you what's possible. The first is a retired teacher who came in with a notebook of 2 a.m. complaints and a stubborn will. She drank coffee for breakfast, picked at lunch, ate a large dinner, and had a glass of wine to help sleep. She took a diuretic at 5 o'clock, wore soft slippers that let her arches collapse, and had a water intake that could charitably be called decorative. We didn't scold, we rewrote. Eggs and sautéed greens or yogurt and walnuts replaced coffee-only mornings. A banana with yogurt became the evening bridge if her sugars allowed. The diuretic moved to morning after her primary clinician agreed. The wine disappeared on weeknights. A 10-minute walk became her new dessert. We added a pair of supportive shoes and a non-slip mat in the shower. 3 weeks later, she reported 2 cramp-free nights in a row, then 4. 3 months later, she said, "I still get a twinge sometimes, but it dissolves when I stretch. I sleep through more nights than not." That's not luck. That's physiology working because the inputs finally matched the output you wanted. The second story is a former carpenter with calves like braided rope and a belief that bananas were kid food. He took pride in tolerance for pain, which is another way of saying he waited too long. His cramps struck after evening chores and woke him most nights. He ate well at dinner but skipped breakfast and skimped on lunch. We added 2 eggs to his morning twice a week, a small banana with a spoon of peanut butter after late afternoon work, a handful of pumpkin seeds on his salad, and a hard stop on caffeine after noon. We measured his nuts instead of guessing, we front-loaded water, and we taught him the wall stretch he had been taught 30 years before, but had abandoned. He discovered that ritual felt less like surrender and more like preparation. 1 month later, he told me, "I don't fear bedtime." That sentence is worth more than any supplement. The third story belongs to a woman caring for her husband with Parkinson's disease, while quietly ignoring her own cramps and exhaustion. Her diet was whatever was left, which often meant crackers and a glass of juice at 10 p.m. because she had forgotten to eat. We created a 2-egg omelet she could share with him in the morning, built a lunch that could be assembled from the refrigerator door, Greek yogurt, a sliced banana, walnuts, and a drizzle of honey, and a dinner pitcher of water on the table as a visual anchor. We placed almonds and pumpkin seeds in a small jar by the kettle, replacing the late-night crackers, and we printed a 1-page bedtime stretch routine that lived on the nightstand. 2 months later, she was less irritable, steadier on her feet, and had a kindness for her own body she thought she'd spent. When a plan works for the caregiver, it works for 2 people at once. Because this is Healthy Body and not a waiting room, I'm going to answer concerns I can hear forming even through a screen. What if I can't eat eggs? Then center your protein on Greek yogurt if you tolerate dairy, cottage cheese, legumes if they love you, tofu if you enjoy it, or fish and chicken if they fit your plan. The principle is protein at each meal to reduce muscle fatigue. What if bananas spike my blood sugar? Pair them, portion them, or choose other potassium sources like cooked spinach, beans, potatoes cooled, and then gently reheated, or low-sugar fruits like berries alongside yogurt. Again, the principle is potassium where you can, with balance. What if nuts upset my stomach? Keep portions small, choose butters, and shift them earlier. Seeds are often gentler than nuts. What if my cramps don't change? Then we go hunting for less common causes. Mineral losses from diarrhea, thyroid problems, vascular issues, nerve compression, medication interactions. We do not shrug, we assess. What about magnesium pills? Food first, supplements second, and only if we have a reason. Symptoms that match and, ideally, lab support. What about tonic water? Not a routine solution, and not a path I recommend. If you take nothing else from me today, take this. Your body is remarkably responsive to the messages you send it, even after decades of habits that felt set. Eggs tell your muscles, you will be repaired. Bananas tell your nerves, the electrical rhythm is steady. Nuts and seeds tell your arteries, relax, let the blood glide. Water tells your entire system, you are not in a drought. Stretches tell your muscle spindles, length is safe. Walks tell your legs, circulation is our rhythm. Sleep tells your brain, it's time to sweep the floor and set things in order. The reason this set of modest choices works is not that any one of them is heroic. It's that together they lean on the same goal from 6 directions. Cramps love chaos, they hate consistency. I know some of you want exact numbers, and while medicine always lives in context, a few rough targets can help you feel grounded. Most older adults do well with 6 to 7 eggs per week, spaced across days and cooked simply. One small or medium banana daily serves many well when paired correctly. Two can be useful for those who sweat or who have frequent cramps and do not have a potassium restriction, but that should be personal and monitored. One measured ounce of nuts or 2 tablespoons of seeds per day is enough to move magnesium and potassium in the right direction without inviting excess calories. 6 to 8 cups of water across the day is a rational starting point for people without fluid restrictions, front-loaded earlier to protect sleep. 10 minutes of walking after your 2 heaviest meals and 2 sets of 30-second calf and hamstring stretches at night are the routines most likely to change your week. The right shoe, a non-slip bath mat, a nightlight, and an unlocked bathroom door are the simple safety steps that make a sudden cramp far less dangerous. Your environment can help or hinder more than you think. Keep a bowl with bananas and a small container of unsalted nuts or pumpkin seeds where you sit in the afternoon. The foods you see are the foods you reach for. Boil a half dozen eggs at the start of the week and store them at eye level. The foods that are ready are the foods you use. Put a refillable water bottle in the place you read or watch television. An empty glass on the counter is a reminder that will be ignored. Print your bedtime stretch routine in large font and tape it to the wall where you brush your teeth. The habits we piggyback are the habits that last. Place your walking shoes by the door and turn your after-dinner dessert into 10 minutes of motion. None of these steps require money. They require intention. There are red flags I want you to respect, because not all leg pain is a cramp, and not all cramps are benign. If you develop sudden, severe calf pain with swelling, warmth, and redness, especially if it's one-sided, seek urgent care. Blood clots are not an at-home project. If your foot is cold or pale, if you have pain in the calf when walking that eases when you rest and returns reliably when you start again, talk to your clinician about peripheral artery disease. That's a circulation problem, and it changes the plan. If you have new weakness, numbness, or back pain shooting down a leg, we think about nerve compression and evaluate accordingly. If your cramps arrive with confusion, chest pain, or shortness of breath, you do not wait. You seek help now. This is not to scare you. It is to keep you safe. Most cramps are mechanical and biochemical and respond to the steady plan we've laid out. Some are messages that deserve a microphone. You deserve the wisdom to know which is which. I could stop here, and you'd have enough to change your month. But I want to leave you with one more frame that I have watched transform not just muscles, but moods. People who live with cramps learn to dread nights. Dread is a powerful teacher, and it teaches your nervous system to be on guard, which is precisely the state in which cramps thrive. Ritual is dread's antidote. When you turn your evening into a sequence, you can perform even on a tired day. Water early, walk after dinner, shoes by the door, lights down, stretches slow, small snack if allowed. You teach your nervous system that the night is not a battleground. Eggs, bananas, nuts, and seeds are your materials. Ritual is your architecture. That's how houses stand through storms. That's how bodies age with grace.